Diane Kochilas welcomes us into her home, where she'll prepare 3 classic Greek dishes for Steve and cookbook author Diana Farr Lewis. The first dish features trahana, or coarse wheat soaked in sour milk or milk and yogurt. The trahana is then sun-dried and broken into rough pieces for use in stuffings and hearty soups. Now Diane prepares 2 taverna favorites, saganaki with shrimp and saganaki with cheese.
Most Greeks prefer to see their shrimp with the heads and tails on, and often actually cook them with the shells on, because they are actually more flavorful that way. They're a little bit more difficult to eat, especially if you're in a fine dining situation, but they are tastier. Onions. Again, these are going to cook until soft. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. One is to add the shrimp. Once I add the garlic to this, to add the shrimp and get some color on them. But because the tomato is quite watery, you could also do this with canned tomatoes. If good quality canned tomatoes, that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to add a little bit of ouzo to it as soon as the tomatoes where the liquid has cooked off. Most of the liquid has cooked off. This is a great dish. This is a great meze. It's also a very nice dish with pasta. You could serve it over rice. It's very versatile. It's great with good bread. You always want something that you can dip good bread into. I'm going to add a little bit of chopped garlic, about a clove, the grated tomato, and actually there wasn't too much liquid in this tomato, so I'm going to add my shrimp at this point, which will also let off some water. This is on a fairly medium hot flame. This dish is it's not very wet. There'll be enough juice in here to dip some bread. I could have easily added another tomato to this, or maybe turned it into something that I would say serve over some pasta. I'm just going to pull this away from the heat so I don't set my kitchen on fire. And wait for the alcohol, obviously, of course, has to cook off. And right toward the end, I'm going to add my feta, a little bit of that oregano. This is just about ready for the feta. The shrimps are almost cooked. And this is a really great starter. It's a really nice, it's a very classic meze. It's, again, like a lot of Greek dishes, it's very versatile. And I think that's a really important aspect of the whole cuisine. I could add some heat to this, a little bit of chili pepper. It's good. And I'm going to add my feta, which is crumbled. And this will melt into the sauce. I'm not going to add too much of it. I don't want to overpower the dish. I'm going to cover this just so that the feta melts a little bit more quickly. If you don't have dried oregano, you can use fresh oregano. You could use thyme. You could use savory. You could use marjoram. You could use fresh basil is very nice in here. Fresh basil and ouzo actually work very nicely together. Everybody thinks that whatever herbs, olive oils, honeys, olives, fish, goat and lamb come from their own little tiny pocket of the world. That's always the best. And of course, my little tiny pocket of the world is Ikaria. So we have the best oregano there, but not according to Pericles. This gets a little spritz of extra virgin olive oil too, raw. A bit of lemon. Any sort of fresh herb, just to garnish the plate. I cut some basil from the balcony.
For the more familiar cheese saganaki, a tricky pan-fried cheese, it's important to use hard, slightly sharp cheeses like keflatiri. The secret to making successful cheese saganaki is all about timing and temperature. You don't want the cheese to melt too quickly in the pan, so you need to keep the cheese cold until you're ready to cook. The cheese is dipped in water, dredged lightly in flour, and then fried in a hot non-stick pan on both sides. No oil is needed. When a golden brown crust forms, the cheese is almost at the melting point and ready to come out of the pan. Serve with a wedge of lemon, a little salt, and a sprinkling of paprika for color.